And I was like, Menudos? Hi, hello. Welcome to I Don't Normally Watch That. This is the WWE Friday Night Smackdown edition from 2021. I am here with Flobo Boyce.
What's going on? So glad to be a part of this. I guess it's the second I don't normally watch that, but this time I'm not on the receiving end. I've similar to one a month ago. I get to ask you crazy questions because I love my job.
Yes, and the Flo gets to actually ask me things I don't know, whatever. But he got me to watch something for the first time and over. I was counting it actually. I said, when was the last time I actually watched a full set of matches? I would say that was the late 90s.
Wow, so about as long as I've been watching Days of Our Lives.
Yes, exactly. So very close. Very close. Yes.
Why'd you stop? Well, I mean, when'd you go? You know what? This isn't for me anymore.
Don't know. Actually, to answer your question, I really don't know. I just I was like, I think at the time, who knows? Maybe I was changing. I was turning my 30s. Yeah, I was in my 30s. I became a grandparent by then for the first time. Had a new job that was much more. It's more stressful and everything. I guess I was like, I just changed. You know, this life just all of a sudden you start changing. There's certain things I stopped doing. I couldn't tell you why. I just stopped.
Oh yeah,
I just stopped. I started to slow down, going out to the clubs a lot too. I was going to, because my 20s, I partied all the time. I stopped. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know why. I guess I just like, okay.
Yeah, okay. That's understandable. One of the cool things about professional wrestling is that there's no reruns. And so a lot of times people jump off the bus and they jump back on. So it's totally cool that way.
Yeah, actually, I always said I probably could never give me to watch this again. But after watching this whole thing, I could possibly, that's all I'm saying, possibly.
Well, there you go. Thanks for coming out, everyone. I don't really watch that. James says he'll watch more wrestling. My job here is done.
It was interesting. It was a very interesting thing. So what Flo chose for me, specifically, was WWE Friday Night Smackdown from November 18th, 2021, season 23, episode 47, and it was something that was leading towards this big SmackDown thing on a Sunday.
Right.
I mean, 10,000 ads towards that. So I mean, I was like, lots of promo stuff that goes on in these the hour and 25 minutes. I think the hour of it was all promo stuff.
Yeah. So just for context, for those that are not into this, it's 2 days from Survivor Series, and WWE had these big pay-per-view events. The big four, the biggest events are WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and Survivor Series, where Raw, which is one promotion, inter-promotion that wrestles on Monday, and SmackDown, the one that wrestles on Fridays, have like these inter-promotional matchups inside the WWE umbrella. So it was the go-home show, as we say, the last show before. And there's 2 big reasons why I picked this episode. One, it was on Peacock, because I'm not going to have James download the Fox app to watch it. That's like an extra step. But 2, of all the shows WWE does, SmackDown gets the most love for being a tight show. It's 2 hours with commercials. It's on Friday night. It's seen by more Americans than any other wrestling program in the country at 2.7 to 4 million people a week. So I got to start big, and then we go down. It was the go-home show. Yeah.
That made people watch. Actually, and there were a lot of folks in the stadium. So like it was in 2021. I mean, it was live, right?
Yeah, it was live. They went back on the road in July, so they'll have anywhere between 5,000 and 20,000 people, depending if it's a sellout, the size of the arena, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So this is the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut. I would assume like 15,000.
I was in Hartford. I was like, Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, this is really interesting. It's like, so for me as a producer, I was watching everything from the pyrotechnics to the storylines. I mean, I was watching every ounce of this production.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. There was a production.
Oh yeah. It's a rock concert every week with pyro or the light shows or whatever. Just how do you describe it to someone who hasn't seen wrestling before? That's my question. And how do you describe what you saw, like visually?
Yeah, basically almost what you said. Like it's like a rock concert. It was like I had another word for it. Oh, that's what I say. Okay, it has a sports feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like sport. I watch football. It's just the one sport that I watch religiously.
The Steelers.
The Steelers. You know why they're in the news recently because of one of their members. But anyway, it's I'm a football fan. It has a sports feel. The announcers remind me that they're so that one guy is hyped the F up. He got his name with a chain and everything. He made me laugh. He was like hyped up, it's on it. It had that feel because you go to commercial, they have the thing, everything's related to the brand. It was very brand heavy. Yeah. Very much so. So it reminds me of sports also. When you watch a big game, it's like they're always promoting stuff that's going on in the NFL or whatever the team. So it reminded me of that, but like a rock concert too. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so Fox has a more sports presentation than Raw does. They still do the same kind of wrestling matches, but the announced team, Michael Cole, has been commentating for 25 years, and his broadcast colleague Pat McAfee from the Pat McAfee Show is a former NFL kicker for the Indianapolis Colts. So he is actually a football player, but he gets hyped.
Yes, he does. He gets very hyped, very hyped. But it was completely. I came in on this. I was watching it here on my computer, and I got ready. I had my food, and I was like, okay, come on, let's see what happens.
Hey, what were you eating? What were you eating? Put me in.
I was eating ravioli.
Oh God, you classy son of a bitch. All right.
It was ravioli with some apple juice.
Okay, I love apple juice.
I feel like a 5-year-old actually. That's all like
a kid.
I ate my snack. But I was like, I was waiting for wrestling of old, I guess. I really did not expect what I was going to see.
What is wrestling of old in your opinion? That now you've opened a whole can of worms. What is wrestling of old?
The last time I watched wrestling, it was still theatrical like this. It was still a big box, everything was going on, but it was like most of our wrestlers had a lot of costuming, a lot of face paint, it was very much more in some cases offensive character kind of thing that you couldn't do anymore, I guess, or you can do, I don't know. It was like this. I went to this WrestleMania 5. I was
WrestleMania
there.
5, yeah.
89. I was there, kids. I was 20. I was part for my 20th birthday. Give you the gift.
The mega powers, I love it. Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. I expected all this kind of. I was kind of, and even in the 90s when I was watching it, Stone Cold Steve Austin and them, I just was kind of like, they're all ravioli apple juice is delicious. It is, but
it is.
Flobo, where were you tonight during James' interview with Kayla Sparks?
I'm watching NXT for my show, Draped in Gold, which airs every Thursday with Jack Farm. We review NXT and NXT UK, my favorite promotion inside the WWE umbrella, NXT UK, NXT, drapedingold.com.
Okay, you tell him, Flobo. You learned from James Lott Jr.
Got to promote.
Right. He was busy doing other. He's doing other stuff. That was wrestling related. So I was expecting like probably extra fakeness. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it'd be extra like big and just broad and over the top and all this stuff. And it wasn't like that.
Yeah,
none was like that at all.
Yeah, I think what's cool about it is that since the sport has evolved and everyone kind of knows it's predetermined, there's less of that whole like, oh, I'm going to punch you now. It's like trying to make it as simulated combat as possible, which I like. I actually enjoy.
It was very sport-like to me.
Absolutely. I like NXT UK, which is a show nobody watches, and they go even harder. But I think that's like asking someone to try coffee with espresso. So that's another time. But SmackDown is the perfect place to start, I think, because you get that mix of the costumes, the pyro, the promotions, some of the comedy of things, and the matches.
Yes. And the guys.
Sir, what do you mean by that? Sir?
Folks out there, I don't know what happened in the last 20 years, but every guy that came, just about every guy I can't even talk. It's like I'm stuttering already. About
every, are you hot and or bothered?
I am and or bothered. Like, okay, every guy, and even the girls, everybody was hot. I don't know how to even say. I don't know how to even break that down. Well, break it down as we're talking about stuff, but I think I was wet the whole time.
Oh, Jesus. It's still a family show, James.
I mean, sweating. I was sweating.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
Getting into the matches, getting into the tight shorts, and
are we all just wet with sweat while watching?
Yes, I just we'll talk. I won't break it all down, but yeah, I was very impressed in the latest of wrestling prop.
What I like about wrestling now is that there's so many. I mean, you can talk about diversity soon, about like ethnic diversity, but different body types. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a time where everyone kind of looked the same. Either you were like built or you were like fat. But now you have like a kind of wiry, long, lanky people, short people, like body men.
See people like, okay, so yeah, like Big E. Hello, I'm like his breath came in before the rest of them came in. Like he reminds me of a wrestler of old. Like he was just like bam, 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 and he was just popping out. Or like a Roman Reigns, they're all tall and big. But then you got guys like Ricochet and some of the others that come in and they're like actually like regular looking guys. They have great bodies, but they're not like these gigantic, war horses coming in to battle where I'm used to seeing that in the old days. It was very much like, oh, this guy's like this guy's like that. And it was just kind of like it was. And the guy who came out with Homeboy with the Rock Band, the Asian dude, the long hair, he was like a regular sinewy kind of guy and he had his own little look. And I was like, I was like, okay, that works.
His name is Rick. Ooh. I love to hear they chant with them. Like it's to me, a lot of wrestling fans say, "Hey, Flobo, this guy is kind of a clown. He plays him." But I enjoyed the hell out of him because he comes out and says his name, and everyone eats out of the palm of his hands, and he uses a guitar. It is like, and then Pat McAfee's on top of the announce table going like, "Yeah,
Yeah, but it's like the guy comes out with a sword, and it's like it was like there's you're right. It's very diverse. It was like a lot of the Usos and all these people, and then they had the Lotharios, all them. I was like, oh, okay, these are guys that I actually they're not with. I was like, okay, this could work. I'm like, okay, this is like it was very diverse in there. They had the Irish guys, but they weren't like so overly Irish. The Sheamus guy, they weren't so like so offensively like, and they just like it was very much like within the limits, and it was like, okay, I could roll with that.
Oh, that's really cool. Sheamus is actually one of my all-time favorites. There's another guy that a lot of hardcore wrestling fans don't appreciate, but he's actually one of the more decorated superstars on the roster. He has like so many different championships. He's been wrestling for 10 years, like 15 years. He's a workhorse.
I've heard of him. I have a redhead fetish, so I heard of him before.
Do you really? I thought you only date. Okay. I'm not even going to ask. It's fine. I thought you date black guys. All right. So moving on.
That too, by the way. That's my main.
How many black redheads do you know?
A few. That's kind of crazy. I met a few.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Now you go and touch it.
Don't touch it, Flobo. Don't touch it. Yeah.
About wrestling.
Oh yes, wrestling. Yes, about wrestling. Yes. But no. So literally, you're right. Diversity thing was good, and the chicks too. It was all very diverse. There was like guess my race person. I know what race she was. We had a black person, and we had white. I was like, okay. I knew Sasha Banks, of course, Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I know her. I love her. I know her.
Sasha Banks is half black. If you care, I don't know if you care.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do care.
I didn't know. You said guess my race. I'm saying Sasha Banks is half black and half white, and her opponent in the main event, Shotzi Blackheart, is half Polish and half Filipino.
Yeah, I was saying there was a couple ones I couldn't tell what they were. I was saying guess my race, couldn't tell what they were.
Okay.
But I was like, but I enjoyed. Well, we'll get to that. But I enjoyed their work also.
Talking about work rate, this guy's a pro fan. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do this, baby.
Let's do it. So that's all the backstory. As I got into it, and so yes, and I have all kinds of notes because I really did watch. I said I'm gonna take this seriously. I'm gonna watch it, and I did.
And you watched it because I went through Days of Our Lives like a
champ. You did, everybody. And so you want to check that out. That's the last episode we came out. Check that out, and it's a lot of fun. And just a little side note, it's talking about promos all the time. Coming up this Friday, it will be Frank Moran and Flobo Boyce and me together on a show talking about DC stuff. So like, I know nothing. So I know a few things. So I don't normally watch that either. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I've been wanting this is a dream match I've been wanting for a dream match. I'm talking like wrestling. A dream match I've always wanted. Flobo versus Moran.
Oh, he's gonna win every time. I don't know why. We're gonna out-duplicate each other. That's what we're gonna do.
It's for my amusement, Flobo. It's all for my amusement.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what's coming up. So like, go ahead. So I'll let you lead it because this is the part where I let Flobo lead because I don't know what to do.
All right, so the show opens up in the first segment. You see Roman Reigns at 446 days. It's over a year of being the WWE Universal Champion. Just a little backstory. There's two major titles, one on Raw, one on SmackDown. The WWE titles on Raw. SmackDown is a big championship. It's blue, as you can tell, is Universal Champion. Roman Reigns looks dominant. Thoughts about seeing this guy? Because this guy is the top guy in all of wrestling, in my opinion.
Number one, he's hot.
He is.
I was like, guess my race. Who is he? I literally went on my phone to look up And I'm like, oh, he's Italian and Samoan.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh. So to have somebody, so again, on serious note, well, it's half serious note. To have somebody who looks like, I won't be super serious, but I'm gonna start crying or nothing. But I mean, like, that's somebody who's a big star and look like that. That's actually a great thing. It's somebody that's not just some regular old white dude or some regular old black dude or somebody Samoan. I mean, now we know that obviously Samoans are big in wrestling, rock and all that. But it's kind of like, it's nice to somebody, that looks like him. Exactly, and actually, the way he looks can represent a bunch of people that look like him. I thought it was very cool, but he's very hot.
Yeah,
I can say it 10 times.
You would enjoy this though, because The Rock is his cousin, the Usos are his cousins. You have cousins in all your media. You put cousins everywhere.
I do. I love. I have a cousin fetish.
Yeah, I'm a cousin. Wait, what? What happened?
I like that. Oh, so they are cousins. I thought it was someone they were. Yeah, we like the bloodline.
Yeah.
So. But first, here's my number one comment. I clocked it. From the time he enters the screen to before he says his first even word, it's about 8 minutes. So much goes on, pomp and circumstance, building up you call him a valet, the guy that was like...
Yeah, I mean, technically it isn't, but he calls himself at the time, special counsel, Paul Heyman.
Oh, yeah, special counsel. So he talking, announcers talking, crowd cheering. He saunters in. Like, literally just saunters in.
Yeah.
Goes into the ring with all the different things that are, whatever. Like, the Usos did their thing, and also going, he doesn't say a word. Like, I'm like, I want to get paid to do that. Just like literally just walk in, everybody just admiring you, you're like adorning you with all the adulation, and that power, so to speak, you have. That to me stood out. I wrote that down. I wrote down.
Yeah.
The Usos, they're hot. Roman Reigns, Tribal King, he's hot. Heard of him before. I have heard of him before. I follow him on something.
Nope.
I wrote all the spectacle. He saunters to his throne for like minutes and doesn't say a word. 9 minutes in, he finally says something.
Yeah. It is so glorious about how that's presented. And I always tell people the story. I think I told you the story even before you saw the show, that there was a match he had with Finn Balor at Extreme Rules. It doesn't matter. And so Roman Reigns in real life has leukemia and it's in remission. But he's still fighting with about that. And right now suffering from COVID. But there was a time where Finn Balor goes out in the crowd and Roman Reigns goes after him, but he stops, looks at Paul and goes, "Mask." And he gets it. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. So now I go to parties like, well, Roman Reigns could wear a mask, but we could wear a mask. I mean, you command a presence by not doing anything. That is like the stuff like Darth Vader's we had up. It's crazy.
It is. It was just like, wow, okay. So he wields his power, and as I said, it was this whole. So a term was used. I'm like, I don't remember this term, the bending the knee thing. What's that term?
So here's a little bit of a backstory. Xavier Woods won a tournament called the King of the Ring. And that's kind of, they have that intermittently in wrestling. It used to be the big five in the big events. They brought it back for this event. So King Xavier has the crown. So he's a king. So the idea is that he wanted people to genuflect. But the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, the guy who's been a champion for over a year, believes, oh, I'm not going to bow down to nobody. And they had a little bit of conflict because of that. So that was kind of like the through line of today's specific episode of SmackDown.
Okay, got it. So that's my first thoughts of him and them coming into the ring.
Okay, so you're watching this now, and you're kind of like, this is different than I thought it will be. What was going through your mind beside that? Was you thinking it's going to be all downhill from there? Are you kind of upset there's no match yet? Like, what was going through your mind there?
I was thinking, they mentioned, in the promo, I guess we had King Woods coming out next. So I knew from production wise, again, well, he has to come out at some point. So when is he coming out? I can almost feel a storyline, kind of. It was very soapy to me. This is why I'm going to connect the soap thing. Sorry, Flobo, I'm connecting it.
Continue.
Soaps. Yes. So, may I have the floor, Judge?
I'm just upset. But no,
may I have the floor, please? Thank you. Because
I'll allow it.
We're what you call the judge or something on your shows, or what were you called?
I was called the mayor, but I had a gavel.
Okay, so Mayor, can I have the floor, please? Thank you. So on soaps, it happened earlier. It happened last week. If you're a General Hospital fan, you know what I'm talking about. So on General Hospital, they set it up. Carly and Sonny are about to have a big blowout. And all week, the audience knows this big secret that she doesn't know, and that he fell in love with her enemy when he thought he was someone else. It's a whole storyline.
Oh, okay.
So there's a trial. So it's almost like The Ring. There was a trial. So I say The Ring represented to me the trial. And so when Roman Reigns is there, I go, okay, well, this King wants us to come out, and something's going to happen. Clearly, the throne is up there. There's a scepter. There's this Burger King crown where they had on the floor. And all this, I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Disrespect. You want a tournament?
I'm like that crown. I mean, when he stepped on, I was like, okay, I think my niece has one of those. She's 7. But anyway, the point is, I know. Sorry, I'm telling you how it looks. So then, but on this show, it led to, I think it was Monday's episode, or whatever, where someone else saw and had to reveal the secret. So we're waiting for it to happen, and then she reveals the secret. They show Carly, and her face is like, I'm gonna kick his ass. Like,
right.
You know it's coming. And then the next day it happens. After everything comes out, they have the conversation. This felt like, okay, something's gonna happen because Roman's big deal. The Usos are running around, those little minions, whatever, running around.
Right.
You know that something's going to happen. That's what it felt. It felt very soapy to me. It felt like here's a part of it's gonna build to a story. You're gonna give us a storyline. Because right now I don't know the storyline. I just think there's a throne, he's the king, whatever. Yeah. That's what I know. So that's how I felt. I was actually kind of excited. I wasn't like thinking it would go down.
Okay, great. Sometimes as a wrestling fan, the reason I said a lot of people who watch week to week, we get kind of frustrated. Get to the matches. But I feel like when I watch it live in the crowd, I'm like, oh, I'm eating everything up. So I just want to see where you're at.
I could tell that they were building something. I felt like there'll probably be a payoff at some point. But I'm just waiting. But again, I'm like 8-9 minutes. He ain't said shit. He finally said something. And it's gonna go for how long it's gonna go. I'm like, it's gonna go where it's gonna go. And then obviously the next steps happen. But that's how I felt at the time.
So let's go about that first match, man. It was a fatal 4-way to decide the final member of the SmackDown Survivor Series team, as we mentioned before. They would take it on Raw in 2 days in the future. Sheamus defeated Ricochet, Cesaro, and Jinder Mahal with Shanky. Just a little bit of a backstory. Sheamus and Jinder were former WWE champions. Cesaro won at WrestleMania this year, and Ricochet is somebody who doesn't have the most impressive win-loss record, but has been featured recently. So of these 4 guys, which one stood out to you the most that you had to rank them? Was a pecking order? Walk me through that match. Man. Well,
Ricochet, he liked one of my posts on his thing. I was like very happy, got excited. This is what I wrote down. All of them hot.
Is there anyone ugly on that list?
No.
Damn.
I wrote, to be honest. This is what I wrote down. This is James Lott Jr.'s thoughts in the moment.
Not even Patreon, guys. This is his thoughts in the moment.
These are my notes. My thoughts in the moment. To be honest, I didn't pay attention to techniques or anything because I was staring at all of them. They could all have me at once.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. At once.
But
man only has so much stamina, James. What are you?
We'll work it out. They can work it out. I'm sure they can work it out. I wrote down a 4-way match. Sheamus, I said I love a Ginger, the Celtic Warrior, bagpipe music. I loved all the intro of that. But the other 3 are what surprised me because all 3 of them, even the Jindal was, he had a turban. He had I don't call it a turban.
I think I call it a turban. Yeah.
It wasn't even over the top either. It was just like, I see guys like that all the time. It wasn't anything over the top. But I wrote this down too. All 4 guys represented diversity.
Oh, absolutely.
I wrote down in size, in look, and in style. And so I thought that was very interesting. Because when they came out, all 4, there was like 2 and 2, and I couldn't tell you what they were doing because I literally was watching all their bodies and touching. I don't know. There are some techniques I'm like, they do that. It was 4 hot guys hitting it. I just, yeah.
So for a couple of years, Sheamus was in a tag team with Cesaro, and they called themselves the Bar, and that was Filipito's favorite tag team because they were just so hard hitting together. They've been separate, they've been teasing it for a while, but I'm glad you liked the match. Jinder Mahal, when he was named champion, a lot of people booed him. They said that, hey, look, man, the only reason why he got the championship is because of diversity. But you said he pretty much looked like he fit in this group.
I think he did. I really didn't think it was anything that over the top. I mean, they were all because Cesaro, I'm assuming he's Italian, right?
So Switzerland. He's from Lucerne, Switzerland.
So I knew it was like he looked like they look like all of them look like regular guys. I mean, I think Jinder was the tallest, if I remember.
Yeah, he is.
One was the tallest. So I mean, they weren't like anything over gargantuan or anything strange. I feel like they all kind of it was pretty pretty even matchup. It felt like to me with all of them.
Okay.
Sheamus is the biggest. I mean, obviously the biggest or whatever.
Yeah, he's 260, 265.
Yeah. So but I thought it was evenly matched on some level.
I'm ready to move on. If you got something else to add for this match before we move on?
Let me see.
You got these notes, baby.
Oh, I got side note. They brought out Ridge Holland. I'm in love with him too, also.
Okay, he plays to play rugby, so he has those thick legs.
Oh, I know.
Jack calls them thigh guys. He's a thigh guy? Yes, Jack. Totally is. Jack Farmer, y'all.
Jack Farmer, you ain't kidding either. I wrote down. I seriously wrote this down. I need a cold shower.
That's the first match of the night.
I was like, I did not expect that, kids. I wrote that down. I was like, I did not expect that. I was like, now I'm following all of them on Instagram and Twitter. So I love that. Ricochet actually liked on my post.
What's up? Kirsten, if you're looking, please don't leave. James is just talking about all these hot, sweaty guys.
Yeah, I'm telling you how I feel. I'm telling you, I had not seen this in a long time.
So, Mr. Pina Girl Ricochet, I think was born in 1988, but I always tell him that if I get a chance to meet him, I had the perfect intro for him because I think he's so awesome. He was in this show called Lucha Underground. I mean, he does the flippy stuff. I mean, he's a superhero, so they call him. Yeah,
no, it's interesting. No, but so in all seriousness, with this match, I get to see a lot more of the athleticism in there. There was a lot of fun to see them do a lot of moves. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it really is. I'm so used to the old school where it seems so fake.
Yeah, really the punch and the punch back, or the bear hug.
Exactly. This was actually. It does feel like wrestling. It felt like it was actual wrestling, like in terms like you go to high school, like wrestling. It did feel really real. I was very impressed.
They didn't have a match that night, but they were promoting this match 2 days in the future. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair had a very long video. They call it a promo package.
Yes, they did.
We know Charlotte Flair being the daughter of Ric Flair. Woo. Becky Lynch is a big fan favorite. Thoughts about the production of the video, one, and these two women in that video?
It's total soap opera.
No, it's not.
It is.
It totally
They're
is.
frenemies. They're frenemies. It's total soap opera. It's for me. It reminded me, and so soap fans will get this.
Primetime soap.
It reminded me of Dorian and Vicky from Life to Live. They're frenemies. It reminded me of Blair and Taya from Life to Live. It reminded me of. I mean, it's classic women who were best friends. This is how they promoted it. They were best friends.
They were,
and they were showing all these montage, these things them together. And then they kind of split. Now they're rivals. And Charlotte Flair, of course, I know who she is. Ric Flair is. Ric Flair actually, I think he follows me. It's pretty funny. So I know who she is. Yeah, these other people, he follows me.
Okay.
And Becky Lynch, I feel like I heard that name, but I don't really know her. But I think I heard her name. And what got me for her, I have a question for you. They kept saying the man is back.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to use a gender thing for this chick. What is that about?
Yeah. So in 2018, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair had what they call a feud, which is basically a series of matches together, right? You fight someone, fight it back and whatever, which Becky Lynch won. And so since Charlotte Flair's dad used to say, to be the man, you have to beat the man, she beat Charlotte Flair. So she calls herself the man. About 6 months after that, and Survivor Series of that year, she had her nose broken on an episode of Monday Night Raw, and it became a lightning rod moment of seeing Becky Lynch standing on top of the arena, nose is flowing with blood. The man became like this organic swell for Becky Lynch. So she's called herself the man ever since.
Okay, Big Time Bex heard that name too.
Yep, that's what she calls herself now. Since coming back from having a kid, she goes by Big Time Bex. But the man era was like her big thing. It was like her Stone Cold era.
Okay. I wrote that down. I wrote down frenemies. It's a story old as time, Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, exactly. It's completely soap opera.
No, it's not.
Like, that one was completely. They you can't yell at them. They did it. That's how they promoted it. They promoted it as this. I mean, that's a story I could follow. It's a storyline I could totally follow. It's like, oh, I get it. I mean, it was like ain't nothing complicated.
Spoiler alert: Becky Lynch won that match 2 days later.
Oh, okay. Oh, she did. Oh, wow.
She won that match, yeah. Which I didn't believe.
She was so strong. Like she was going to win everything. She was going to win it.
Charlotte had, oh man, we had an interview, the MackMania podcast, because I wasn't on it, had an interview with Charlotte Flair, and she's like, number one doesn't talk about number two. I'm like, oh, you're so good and evil.
Ooh, I love it. I respond to shade. I like that. Okay. Sheesh.
But that was one of the best women's promotion storylines. Let's go to one of the more wonky ones here, the one that came after that. Shayna Baszler and Natalya defeated Aaliyah and Naomi, which was the match. But the story is WWE official Sonya Deville has this thing out for Naomi. Now, it's been going for 4 months. We don't know why she doesn't like Naomi, but she's been putting Naomi into situations. The match was only a minute long, so I don't even know if you have any thoughts about it.
Yeah. That's what I wrote down.
Okay, hit me out. Hit me up, not hit me out.
Yeah, so we're 36 minutes in. I wrote down now 36 minutes in. Aaliyah, not black.
No, she's Persian Canadian.
I was like, not black. Okay.
Not black. Not black at all. Shayna Baszler, former MMA fighter, by the way.
I liked the song "Feel the Glow Down." So that song, I like the song.
I'm amazing.
I liked it.
Natalya, daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
He was your era. He was okay.
Oh, I do. I remember every single wrestler from man. I'm old. I remember all this stuff. I remember some stuff.
Yeah. Heart Foundation? No? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, he had the big long beard. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I wrote down a quick call. And they had a whole storyline about kind of this crooked referee thing going. So I was like, crooked. They say call the chick, and she was black. They called her crooked. She had a crooked thing. So I was like, okay, quick call. And I wrote down lots of promotions for SmackDown coming up. That was really, but no, it was quick. I thought it was quick. It just went by so fast. I mean, I don't have anything to say because it went by so fast.
The main story here is what Sonya Deville. We'll talk about this before we went live. That's Daria Benito, but Baronetto is a former Afterbuzzer. She's one of the few openly gay wrestlers working today, but she's kind of like this weird heel, which is a bad person, but she's an authority figure, good person kind of role. Did she jump out at you at all? Was it really kind of you a fan? Not really.
Well, here's the thing. So I don't know her, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that in the.
I don't know her.
I don't know her. I want to make this clear. On an earlier show, I interviewed Kayla Sparks, who was on AEW. I interviewed her earlier today. It's out now. You can watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Cherie. We're talking about wrestling. It's my first time on my wrestling.
Hey, Cherie.
So what was it? Oh, so I mean, I don't know because if there was a lot of hosts at AfterBuzz TV. Yeah. Yes, I was very popular, and a lot of them may know who I was or may know of me. She didn't know me either. There were a few, and there was also wrestling. The camp was on this side, and the soaps were on this side. So there are people they didn't, and that's the Jets, the Sharks. So I know everybody over there. So I may have ran into her, may have saw her while she was there. I didn't know who she was. I say hi to everybody. I was very friendly, said hi to everybody. Okay. I don't. Her name doesn't ring a bell. People asking, "You should have AfterBuzz." I'm like, there were a lot of AfterBuzz people there, and there were some that were only there for a minute. And there were some that were there for. I mean, I just,
No, it's absolutely true. Yeah, that's someone that but she's promoted on the. Remember towards the end of AfterBuzz was like that video wall of people who graduated after. She was always featured prominently there.
Oh, wait. So isn't Lillian Garcia a wrestler too?
She was a ring announcer. So she was ring announcer for in that era, the 90s.
Yeah.
But now she's kind of like alumna.
Yeah, so I know who she is, but she was AfterBuzz for a while. I know who she is, but I don't really know. Okay.
Imagine Lillian wrestle. She's like so small.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's just why. I mean, hey, you never know these shows. You never know.
Yeah.
I don't know her, but I heard she's also lesbian apparently. So she's part of the Alphabet crew, which I'm
Sonya Deville is not Lillian Garcia.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Rumors. Yes, yeah. Sonya Deville is.
Started rumors.
I heard Lillian. I don't know. But her Sonya was. So I was like, oh, okay. So I always support my LGBTQIA plus community. So
yeah, what's up, man? And people just want to be
I
loved.
didn't know there were gay wrestlers. So now I want to find gay wrestlers and interview them.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's Jake Atlas, there's Fred Rosser off the top of my head are doing things. Yeah,
you have to give me a list. I don't know who they are.
I don't keep a list, but I will make a list if you like. I don't. Right here.
You should have a list of everything in your famous dresser behind you. That famous dresser on.
Yeah, it's just socks in there, bro. It's just socks.
Just socks. But I want to talk to some other gay wrestlers. I'm really curious. I'm curious. I didn't know there were gay wrestlers.
Oh yeah, what's one of the cool things about it is that we're about one generation removed, and I'm getting off the topic here, but like one of the most prominent, best kept secret wrestlers that was in the closet, quote unquote, back at the time you couldn't be honest with yourself was Pat Patterson. And towards the end of his life, he came out and said, hey, look, I was gay and it was hard for me to be that with the boys. And it's been so great because you're now seeing people as being more prideful of who they are, not having to like hide who they are just to do this art form. It's great.
I like that.
It's awesome.
Therese says Shawn Michaels was her first love.
Okay, yeah. There was a lot of girls growing up that Flobito like to see. You know what I'm saying? I was a Lita guy personally. There was Trish Stratus fans, but I was a Lita guy when I was a kid. But moving on. Yes. One of the happiest guys in WWE, Happy Corbin, and his associate Madcap Moss, the guy with the most secure pants in WWE, was in a match with Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy brings out his friend Drew McIntyre, and I am not part of the LGBT community, but Drew McIntyre is a specimen, and I will say that top to bottom, what a rippling man. James, talk about the match.
I wrote that. Literally, my notes are here. My note says hot too. I wrote, I said McIntyre with a sword named Angela. I was all here for him. And I wrote hot too. I wrote Jeff Hardy had the face paint. So I got a chance to see somebody with face paint. I was like, oh, okay, there's some face paint. Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, they are hot too.
Really? That is the one surprising thing. Really? Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin are hot.
And I wrote, this is what I wrote. I'll forgive the ponytail, but I'll take the dimples.
Okay, Madcap Moss is fine. But Baron Corbin's hot? Wow.
I think so.
You play football back in the day. That's crazy.
But McIntyre is my man out of the whole thing. That's what I wrote. I'm like, and that sword and everything, I was like, I'll take that.
So during the pandemic, when there was no crowd in the audience, Drew McIntyre was WWE champion. So a lot of people consider him the pandemic champion. He kind of closed the show. He was the guy for a long time. The sword came kind of later. Let's talk about like representation. He's Scottish. Sometimes he wears a kilt and a sword. That wasn't too offensive to you? Was that cool?
No.
I guess not. Okay.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. I was not offended at all. And even he handed the sword off to homeboy, the announcer. He was holding the sword for a while.
Mike Rome.
Whatever sword he wants to swing, it's fine with me. I also wrote down, again, the pyrotechnics were good during this segment. Shady, I know it's a Sunday. I know. I'm like, I love Shade every day.
You do. Yeah.
It's Shady Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff won. So
yeah.
But he had the face paint. I was like, oh, that's a face paint. So that's kind of what I wrote down. But I thought it was cool.
It's been released, unfortunately, but he was part of the Hardy Boys and Matt Hardy back in the 90s, a tag team.
The Hardy Boys, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that he had that longevity. And Matt's on AEW, which is another company.
Oh, okay.
Let's move on. My favorite part of the show, Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo were feuding for years, but now they're put together in a tag team called Los Lotharios.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of a stereotype in that way. To me, it kind of offends me as a non-Latino person. I don't want to see your thoughts about that. But the match was Angel Garza against Shinsuke Nakamura, who was a legend in Japan for what's called strong style, which is hitting really, really hard. But Shinsuke has a friend. His name is Rick Boogs, who plays the guitar for his entrance, and that was amazing. Walk me through everything in this match. Angel Garza, Shinsuke, Rick Boogs, Pat McAfee, all that stuff.
Yes, I wrote Rick Boogs playing guitar, but this is why I told Flobo that I was just like cheese and crackers. His shorts, coochie cutter, tight jean shorts.
A lot of bulge.
I mean, he was delivering FedEx, UPS, and USPS in that package. It was like, I was just like, is it a Christmas package? Is it delivery? It was delivery. It was DiGiorno. It was everything. I was in.
FedEx and DiGiorno. That's.
I was in. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was just like, that takes literal balls
Okay,
to wear that.
Dong aside,
never a dog aside. Never a side of dog. That was a side of dog.
The idea of Shinsuke's entrance is always something I like because it has a light show going. He's going crazy, looking like Thriller, right? You got people going. Was that too much for you? Were you on board? How'd you feel about that?
No, we'll get to all that. No, we're not done with the dog. We're not no dong aside. We're never a side of dog. Okay, so I'm looking at Rick going. So here's the thing. He's not the main event. So I was like, he's not the main. I'm like, that's what's so funny. He's the sidekick, right? He's
he's a sidekick.
Like a hype man, so to speak. That's what I was thinking. That's kind of made me think of it. Like, he's like a hype man. And I was just kind of like, but I was kind of focusing on him for a while because they gave him his due. He was playing the guitar. Like, he was really playing it. And I was like, oh, I like that. I like rock music. I grew up with rock music. I like rock music. So for me, it was no big deal. I thought I liked him. And because Rock Witch, exactly, on my show, T. Ferry. I love that he was like this guy who was hyping it all up, but he's his own kind of character. But my question to you, Flobo, is what's with all the long hair in wrestling stuff? It's so funny. Almost everybody has long hair.
It's kind of like a pendulum. I think in the 90s and 2000s, everyone had long hair and everyone had beards and everyone kind of cropped it for a long time, but then it went back to being a representation of manliness, right? So guys like Drew McIntyre has it. Well, Bobby Lashley doesn't, he's bald. But like McIntyre has it. Just like Nakamura
even King Woods had it. He had braids. He had hair out. It was like he had both. It was like, what's with all these, mullets and shit? It's like it was all over the place. Like,
the idea is, how do you stand out? If normal people are doing short hair, you gotta go long. If people are doing long hair, you gotta go short. Beards are not in anymore, but they were for a long time. Like it's kind of a thing. The idea is you get signed to WWE and they give you a storyline if you're lucky and maybe a name. And your job is like how to get people to ask for me again. And Shinsuke Nakamura, it took me a long time to get into him, but he's out there doing like one of these, and he's like he's playing around and that kind of thing. So like I get someone like Rick Boogs being, I'm a rock star, long hair.
Yeah, no, I was here for him. Los Lotharios, I wrote down, I'd take them.
Oh yeah,
I was not offended by them at all. They were, to me, they look like guys that I've dated before. There were people that were just like, they were like regular guys I see on the street or see anywhere in the neighborhood. I mean, I was like, also they're wrestlers. Like I would never guess they had their own little storyline, but I was like, I would never guess that.
I was always worried. Again, I'm not Latinx, but I was always worried about the Lothario part, the whole idea of the over sexualized people. But you're saying that's not an issue. That's someone who is.
I mean, okay. So let's bring it down for a second, folks. So yes, the Latin lover. That is a stereotype. It's all true. That's a stereotype that they give us who are of that descent of some sort. That's the whole thing, or people give us. But in this case, I don't think it was anything. It was like, to me, it was like a name. So to me, it was like a name. I mean, it was like almost like a a lot of Spanish groups, Los Bukis and Los this and Los Tigres del Norte. I mean, all this. It just, to me, it wasn't anything that stood out to me that's offensive. Not at all.
I remember when I was a kid in 95, 97, no offense. I was a kid in 95, 97. One of my favorite wrestlers at the time was Savio Vega. And Savio Vega caped hard for Puerto Rico. He wore a flag every single time. And then there was a time where he was fighting with Disciples of Apocalypse. And Disciples of Apocalypse were like a biker gang. So he went back to Puerto Rico in storyline. He got three of his best friends. He went by Los Boricuas. And you're kind of like, really? Like, no one complained? But I guess it's fine because that's what they are. They were literally Boricuas. So like, I guess it shouldn't be offended, right?
Just how you're offended. They're representing who they are, man. That's what they are.
Yeah, it's like saying those dudes, right? So that was kind of cool. But sorry, the match was quick. Let's talk about the match.
It was quick. I'm not done yet. So okay. I haven't mentioned about Shinsuke, right? I haven't even mentioned him yet.
Shinsuke.
So okay, so anyways, I'm hot for those guys. He's the only guy I wasn't hot for.
Damn.
The only one. But
he has a good personality, though.
But I'm getting there. So the thing about him that's different was that he had a different kind of entrance. He's a rock dude, but he's Asian, which you don't see very often represented. You just don't see it. I know Asians who like rock music, but you just never see it anywhere. He had the long hair shaved on one side, long hair, just rocking to his music. They're an unlikely duo. Looking at them like, these two unlikely duo. Because he wins the match. I wrote down quick. He wins the match, but it was like, I just thought, okay, I could rock with him. He was like, again, nothing offensive, nothing crazy. I mean, it was just like, okay. But my fan, again, I worked on quick.
Back before Shinsuke was with Boogs, he would big events. He would get like professional violinist to do his theme music. So now having a rock version is a whole new thing to his character. Shinsuke is actually a legend in Japan. I mean, he's still pretty solid here in the United States, but in Japan, he's kind of like a legend because his wrestling style is called strong style, hard hits, hard strikes, kind of a thing, kind of brings that over to the WWE style. So it has like a very global appeal.
Okay. I want to say something also throughout the whole show, a lot of no vaping commercials. They're against vaping apparently. So that I was a lot like, okay, I get the message. I get it. The girls digging in the toilet. I'm like, okay, I get it.
There are certain commercials that play all the time in wrestling. It's like either no vaping or Domino's or car insurance. It's like State Farm or Liberty Mutual. You're like, okay, I'm not switching from Geico. I'm not now. It's Friday night. What am I?
I was like the vaping that was very heavy handed. I'm like, I get it.
It's metal in your lungs. That's
it made me laugh. I was like, okay, I wrote it down on this page. I wrote that down. Like no vaping commercials.
So in wrestling, when this is the term they use, when people really like you or they really hate you, the crowd reacts heavily. It's called being over. Or getting over. People say, I'm over. I like Rick Boogs because he doesn't wrestle all the time, but the fact he comes out and says his name and the crowd has like signs, it just goes, to me, that's awesome. He is over, which is pretty cool.
Oh, got it. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. But again, finally, the match. Thoughts?
Okay. So, we're talking about Sasha and him right now, right?
No, the thoughts of the match. You told me you were talking about Shinsuke.
I said it was quick, and Shinsuke win. It was quick. I had no thoughts.
All right, let's go it. The filthy Filipina Shotzi Blackheart, the former Shotzi Blackheart, Shotzi now, as he get called to the main roster, takes on Sasha Banks because Shotzi wanted to make a name for herself. Sasha Banks, multiple-time world champion, cousin of Snoop Dogg, was on The Mandalorian against Shotzi, someone who really plied her craft in NXT and typically comes out with driving a little miniature tank, but not today. Shotzi, Sasha Banks, thoughts about this match?
So I said this to Flobo off outside the mic, off the mic. I can see you as an announcer there. You should be an announcer. You could do it.
I got myself a little demo reel. You saw that on Patreon?
I know. I'm saying you should totally do it. I can see you doing it.
Me and Jack, love it.
You and Jack Farmer. I told you guys would be a great duo doing it. I mean, because you guys know each other, and it'd be great. And that may get me to watch wrestling again if you guys were both ring announcers.
Say less, fam. Say less.
I will. Okay, Sasha Banks. I knew who she was because I was like, oh my god, The Mandalorian. I didn't know she was gonna be on. So I was like, oh my god, I love her. She's beautiful. I love her. I was like, no, bitch. That's my bitch. She had that outfit on. She's working it up. Again, very soapy to me because it was very build up. As they say, so Shotzi comes out. I know who she was. She's hot. I don't know who she is, but she's hot too. I'll look it up. This match was the one match I really
No, she is really hot. Sachi is really
she's hot. No, she's hot. I'm like, I liked it also.
Hey, Shotzi.
Hey, Shotzi. I'll give you a chance, pal, but you know. But here's the deal. This is the one match I really watched.
Why?
Like it was one because I knew one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to see how she does. Because on Mandalorian, she did great stuff, and she did her own stunts, and she was great on there. So I was like, I actually want to watch her actually be a wrestler. Get an idea of kind of like, oh, okay, that's what she does in her day job. But it was suspenseful. It was the longest of all the matches. Mm-hmm. It was, and they built the storyline was built up perfectly, so to speak. Where it's like the not newcomer, but the person who's newer trying to take the title from the person who's the veteran.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was like that's old school. That's like it's all about Eve. That's all these things. I think of other references. That's what it is. I'm going to win, and they did it in a way where it's like, is she going to win? Is she going to win? Is she going to win? When she put her arm in the stairs, these stairs are off to the side, and this little slot. They put her arm in there. And they said she broke it. Well, I know it was broken, but the point is, I went along with it. I went along with the folks. I said, that's where it was a little fake for me. But I was like, I went along with it, for storyline purpose. And she acted her ass off doing it, and it looked like she was down and out. And they had a lot of outside the ring, in the ring, outside the ring, in the ring. There was a lot of athleticism that happened during this. Both these chicks had to really bring it together. Like I feel like for being the big match at the end, they really, for me, as an outsider novice kind of thing, this is suspenseful. Like, I'm curious, like, how they're going to end this, because it could go either way. They really showed it could go either way, and I was like, it could be. So Sasha wins, she retains her status, or if Shotzi wins, she overcomes the homegirl status. I want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I was totally. It was just these two chicks, hot chicks, fighting each other. I was all for it.
So a lot of things in there. One of the things I like about Sasha, I'm a Bailey guy, which is someone who's probably injured. But so sidebar. Sorry, I'm getting out of here. There was a time where 4 women kind of trained together, and they called themselves the 4 horsewomen. That'd be Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Bailey. Now, I'm a Bailey guy, but she's currently nursing an ACL injury. But Sasha Banks is good at what they call selling, basically making you look like the moves hurt and making your opponent look good.
She did.
Oh, absolutely. So what I liked about this match was Sasha's famous move is the bank statement. Basically, she pulls your face into her arm in that submission because her arm was damaged. She had to use her leg, which was so genius to really pull deep. You're a big Sasha fan. You're like, she found a way to win. It was innovative.
Yes.
You know,
because she won. So I was like, so it was good. But it literally was this suspenseful back and forth where it could, at one point, I was like, go any direction. And I actually got lost in the, I'm sure this is predetermined. I don't know or not. I don't know if I'm saying something wrong. I might say something wrong probably. But for me, it was like, because they do storyline, but I thought for me, I liked it. I was like, I don't care. I'm kind of really enjoying the sport. Yeah. So I was kind of shocked when it was the chicks that got me enjoying the sport of this particular SmackDown. It wasn't even the guys. It was the chicks that got me going, oh my God, what are you doing? What's she gonna do? I was saying, oh my God, get up. I was really getting into it. And that surprised me. It shocked me. I was getting into it.
A lot of my friends who are lapsed fans to get back into it, get into it through the women's wrestling because it's so expressive for the ladies. And of course, there's a whole glam thing. And it's come a long way from the days of Glow. I don't know if you watched Glow back in the day.
Yes.
What was your experience going from that era to this?
Oh, it was totally different. Well, it felt like these chicks are allowed to just be themselves, and that it wasn't so much of a separation between male and female matches. It felt like they were just each matches. And it's happened, those were male and these were female. That's how it felt. Where in the old days, it was very much, this is a women's, these are the women, these are men's. It was very different styles, very different tone. The announcers were very different when it came to the women. I remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but this one felt like just another match. In fact, it was another match. It wasn't anything separate.
True evolution, man. Again, that was the longest match by about 5 seconds.
By 5 seconds? It felt longer.
This one was 11:05. The 4-way match was 11 even. So that's about 5 seconds.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. Moving on, before we get to our main event, we had a little bit of another promo package, a vignette for Xia Li. It was a comic book kind of thing about the protector, Xia Li, the first female Chinese superstar to be signed by WWF. Were you WWE, excuse me? Were you impressed? Were you kind of lame? Were you kind of like, it was like, how did you feel?
I was nonplussed. I was like, okay. Yes, nonplussed.
SAT words, y'all.
I did go to college.
Okay.
Even though college was like 10,000 years ago, but I did go to college.
Okay.
But no, it was fine. I mean, I was like, the promos are good. I mean, it's a producer and watching this stuff. They produce great promos. I mean, it's top notch work. It was
a comic book, man. You got to be on board.
I know. But I was like, okay. I mean, it was fine.
You know what? That match was too much of a tough act to follow. Whatever came out of that
match. I think so. I was like, I was still hyped on the other thing. I was like, okay.
So I have a question I always ask Jack on drapedingold.com. The best place.
I love it. I'm like legitimate.
If I always say, hey, look, you say you like a match, like a person. The question I always ask Jack is, do you love them enough to buy merch? Would you buy Sasha Banks merch?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So she's totally crossed the line for you.
Well, for me, again, I know it's from the Mandalorian, so she's already...
No, not Mandalorian. Sasha Banks.
I'll tell you.
Tell me.
I challenge you to in the ring. No.
Oh, no, I quit.
That'd be crazy. Me and you in the ring together. Because I think it may not be fair because I know her I'm already a fan of hers from another show.
Okay.
Now that I've seen her in this role, in this mode, I like her more.
Okay. Not Shotzi?
Now, I like her more. I like Shotzi too, but I like her. I like Sasha more.
No, I'm saying, would you buy Shotzi merch?
Maybe. If I have to look at it, maybe. I mean, I might. But with Sasha, I'd buy Sasha Banks. I'd buy her Sasha Banks because now I know who she is. And I watched her, and it would represent. And fans of Star Wars would also know why I'm wearing it. Like fans of wrestling, everybody would get it. Yeah. So I think I would. Shotzi, I might buy some of her merch. I look at it. And see what she has.
Okay, that's why I was almost like this line between going, okay, they're right. I really like them. I want to buy into them. I think it's a giant jump. It's not necessarily.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I start watching wrestling again, and if I was going to follow any chicks, it'd probably be Sasha Banks. I'd probably follow her, and then I would go in, and I probably would. And me, I do buy merch from different people I like and stuff. So I probably would have me like my mugs or hats or whatever. I probably would t-shirts. I probably would buy some. I bought a shirt at this one. So. At 20 years old, so yes.
It's kind of a non-point here because she got released recently, but Toni Storm and Charlotte Flair had a bit of a stare down afterwards, and it was kind of like the new, again, a very much similar new school versus old school type deal. Do you get Queen vibes from Charlotte Flair, or is that something you just?
Yeah, I get it. I give her. Yeah, I give her. Okay. I know who she is. I know who she is, kind of too. So it's almost kind of like I knew who she was. I never seen her do a match or anything, but she carries herself. She plays the role. She carries herself very well. And she's hot in her own way too. She's also one of those girls that's just like big blonde, just out there doing her thing. I'd be your BFF if she wanted me to. Sure, why not? I'll be your BFF. Everybody needs a gay BFF.
True.
You should.
And you're mine. So our technical main event wasn't even a match. It was another stare down between Roman Reigns and Xavier Woods about who was going to kneel. What we saw was a ambush by Big E, Roman Reigns as a future opponent at Survivor Series. And you mentioned Big E's chest, which is very ample. But thoughts about this main event, thoughts about the scene, what were you thinking?
I don't know if I can read this. Can I read this? I guess I can read this. I'm sure I do what I want, yes. Okay, so earlier again, they set it up, they set the stage up. So we got what we got. So they smashed the throne, they break the scepter, they stood on the crown and bounced back up. I was like, that's kind of funny. And so I was like, Burger King crown. And so he got that. So now he's kind of defeated, and he's like, and King Woods is defeated, and all this kind of stuff. Well then, Big E smiling, and I wrote, God damn, he is built.
That's true.
And that's what I wrote. And then I wrote, attacks Roman Reigns. Then they stomp out the Usai?
The Usos.
Lots of flying, leaping. It was a good storyline. It was like, you think that King Woods is down and out. I want to finish braiding his hair, but that's not a story.
Yeah, it's weird.
He's half done. Let me finish it. I know it's a look, but he's hot too. He's hot too. But it was very much. I was like, here's the storyline. So now they get revenge on Roman for him taking the crown and all this stuff. And it worked. It totally worked. It totally worked.
So we get to the end of our show, SmackDown. Again, the episode 2 days before Survivor Series. Now you've seen both worlds modernly. What is your relationship between soaps and wrestling? How do you put them together? How do you compare them?
I will be serious. I'll give you your props, Flobo. In some ways, you're right. It's not soap. And no, some ways it isn't. In some ways, it's very just sports. I'm relating it to football. And boxing, and I was a big MMA fan. I watched Ultimate Fighter. I did that. I was a huge fan of that. It reminded me of that, the shit talking, all the stuff, the theatrics. It reminded me of the acting aspect of this. There's a lot of acting that goes into it, but then there also were soapy elements, which I mentioned earlier. So I think it is and isn't. So that's my final kind of thought of wrestling. Like it is like soap, and it isn't like soap. It's
a cop out.
But saying but two things can be the same, right? Two things can be, you have two independent thoughts of the same thing. It's kind of like, no, yes, and some of the matchups were not soapy at all. They were just like, they're a matchup. They're strict person versus person matchup or group. like I said, with the foursome fighting, that wasn't soapy at all. It was like it was kind of like, okay, the storyline wasn't really that big.
Right.
Where some of the others, the storylines were actually big storylines. And they meant, and they I had another comment, I think. I was mentioned Caleb Braxton's hot. Mention that.
Right.
Oh, you're saying against
I mean, she's I mean, look, seriously, if I was in the bar, she asked me, oh yeah, okay. But I'm like, yo, Caleb Braxton. Right.
The fool saying that now, but yeah, he'd take her if she can.
I mean, yeah, I'm also a hater, and I'm also I'm also selling myself out.
Yeah, Flobo's shady too. Talk about James Lott Jr. Flobo just as shady.
Shady, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you're shady too.
I kind of am shady. You're right.
You are. You're shady too. That's what we get along. No, but if I can say it's smart, but I feel like it was soapier back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I feel like when I saw, so I'm saying actually I agree with folks who say it's soap like, and some of them were. I agree with you where it said it's more comic book like, but I would add just it's more just sports like, which is what my big takeaway from watching this whole thing was that it was the athleticism was actually really on point. I was very impressed with it. I mean, I really was like, oh, okay, I could watch this again.
Wow, I'm actually pretty shocked. I know because Days Are Alive, the episode I was on, was like 34 minutes, and this was like 2 hours. I was a little kind of like a little nervous at being too much there, but I'm glad there was enough to pull from segment to segment and that you go, oh, check it out. So I'm really glad.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's like my aspiration now. I have a new goal aspiration one day. I don't know if I'm ready for that jelly, but I one day want to be on one of your actual wrestling shows and do co-commentary.
Oh wow,
that's my next goal. Is one of, I don't know if it's Draped In Gold or the other one. I don't know if you and Jack would even want me on there, but I actually want to try it once. See if I could actually watch something you guys watch and take notes and see what my take is.
Oh wow, when you're ready, man. I mean, our show covers 3 hours a week. If you could do that, but anytime, brother.
As I'm saying, I think I want to try it. I'm trying to do new things in 2022. I was telling Flo that off camera. We're friends off camera, obviously. So I'm trying to try new things, and there might be something coming out of this, folks, on JLJ Media that might be wrestling related. So keep that in mind. So just keep that. It'll be JLJ-ized or James Lott Jr.-ized, but it's something. Just keep. Yes.
Is there anything on your notes that I missed?
I'll look on here. So, Caleb Braxton was talking to some chick named Toni Storm.
Toni Storm, unfortunately, got released, but she's from Australia, former NXT UK Women's Champion, was going to be the new class like Shotzi, the challenge, the old guard, and Charlotte Flair. Pretty cool. I was a big Toni Storm fan. I can't lie, but she's no longer with the company.
Okay, so I'm looking at all my notes. I think we got her. I think actually we got everything.
Everyone's hot, basically. That's what it is.
Basically, that's things. Basically, now I like my men of color especially the most, but everybody was hot, and any one of them I would take. So I am now following all of them. Everybody from SmackDown the women. I'm following them all now. So now I'm kind of like hooked to see what's going on, and so I'm like, they got me hooked. I really can't. I'm shocked with myself that I actually was like, okay. Not if I'd watched every week and that kind of stuff, but I'm like,
fair enough, yeah.
I could go in and out, and like I said, one of these days you might see me on Draped In Gold or the other show. I might try to get on there and
let's do it.
I need your help to tell me like where I watched. I don't schedule.
Yeah, because WWE is kind of unwieldy because they have 3 brands. They have a Monday night brand, the Friday night brand, NXT, and it's kind of a thing. But we'll make it work. We'll totally have it. And Ricochet, Mr. Pina Girl, his girlfriend, gorgeous. Oh my goodness, Samantha Irvin. Oh my goodness,
she's hot. Of course, he has somebody hot. Of course.
But I would love to interview. When I give him props for saying he should be Spider-Man, he retweeted me. I was pretty excited about that.
I know. You saw us like, yes, I know. Yes. I say you liked my thing, retweeted your thing. So
yeah,
watching his fans, look at the fans' comments.
Yeah.
I like that.
Shout out to Paducah, Kentucky, his hometown. What? That's not a joke. It's true.
I know. I'm not saying I'm like just a shout out. Shout out. I'm sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Kentucky. I'm just going through my notes. I think I hit pretty much everything. I said the King Xavier, King of the Ring, won a tournament, wants his crown back. They broke it. The pathos, the drama.
I do have a question, kind of. So, like these little side like the Usos, Lotharios, or whatever, so the groups or whatever. So, like, do they ever get their own spotlight? Or it's a spotlight that are always the main machine.
So the Lothar is a little different because they were on Raw and they were kind of like losing individually, and because they were fighting each other, they kind of put them together on SmackDown. So they kind of show up intermittently. But the Usos are like the henchmen for Roman Reigns. So a lot of times someone wants to fight Roman, they have to go through Jimmy and Jey Uso.
Oh, okay.
And that becomes like his like royal guard in that way. This episode was different, but they're a lot more formidable than the Lotharios.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, did they get their due? Did they get their little moment?
Oh yeah. They're the most decorated tag team champions. Them and the New Day are the most decorated tag team champions in WWE.
But where do they fight? I mean, what do they fight on? I mean, do they get there's other shows they fight on?
Oh, they fight on SmackDown, but if there's not a tag team match on the docket, they don't fight. So sometimes Roman Reigns is such a big thing. It's kind of a cool visual thing to go through it. But for example, Xavier Woods, his friend is Big E, and Big E's friend is Kofi Kingston. And sometimes they have tag team matches. Sometimes they have 3-on-3. Sometimes they do 1-on-1. It's a whole thing.
So now my other question would be: Is this SmackDown the same setup every week?
So yes, there's a roster of WWE wrestlers that's split two ways on Raw and SmackDown. Every October, they do a draft where they shuffle the rosters. But when you watch the SmackDowns, those characters are same every Friday. When you watch Raw, those characters are same every Monday. And WWE has an offshoot brand called NXT, and those rosters are every Tuesday. And that's a different set of groups for us.
So you watch all of those.
Yeah.
Like you soap operas, you watch all of those. And which one's for Draped In Gold? Which one's for all?
So I watch everything for MackMania. I watched NXT America, which is Tuesday nights from 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday afternoons, I watch NXT UK, which is their offshoot of their offshoot over in Britain. And the NXT UK shows are Draped in Gold. So those two shows are NXT UK, and everything else I watch for MackMania.
How do you watch NXT UK?
So that one is on Peacock, because WWE Peacock bought all WWE's library. So that one's uploaded at 12 o'clock Pacific Thursdays on Peacock.
I got Peacock. I just paid my monthly thing. I got my son.
That's my favorite wrestling brand, because they hit hard. It's all about the sport and athleticism of wrestling. So it feels a little bit more gritty, but it's a harder sell because the audience is so small that if someone's like, let me.
Are they all British? Or are they all like
most of them? There's some guys from like Wales, some guys from Australia, some guys from Scotland, but they're Europe. They're based in London.
Check that out, maybe that's the next one you check out.
That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, just Google that. Google it. Peacock that. NXT UK.
We verbed it now. We peacocking it.
Peacocking it, man. But that's a hard sell, because it's like talking about like an offshoot of an offshoot of an offshoot. But SmackDown, seen by 3 million people a week, that's the one to start with.
And where's that one on?
SmackDown is on Fox Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. So like the actual broadcast channel of Fox.
Interessante. Mm-hmm. So there you go, folks. You may see me on one of his shows on one of the channels. Who knows? I'm very curious. I'm very curious. I'm trying to challenge myself in 2022. I don't want to be just a soap guy anymore. I want to do other things.
Yeah, let's do it.
Very interesting. Okay.
I got a voice demo reel for no reason. It's fun, man.
Right, you do now. Right, yeah, you do. That's exactly. Why not?
Try it out. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Flobo Boyce, for doing this with me. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad you did pick a good one. You know me very well, so you did pick a good one.
I was so nervous.
I know. I was like, we actually were talking about this for like a year. This is what we wanted to do originally. So now we've done it.
Yeah.
So now we've actually done it, and he's getting some fans from Days of Our Lives. And I want to say our last episode's over 300 views now. That's the biggest episode of this series ever. So thank you so much. You guys want to see Flobo talk about soaps. And who knows? I said he may at some point, for shits and giggles, come on one of our soap shows on a Sunday. Maybe he'll watch a week. We won't pick one that's not so much. Like Bold View is probably the smallest. It's the quickest. But maybe have him watch it and come on every once in a while. So you never know. So we're open people. You never know. You never know where we'll show up. So
I was surprised, not so much about like making my way through the possession, but the Days of Our Lives community. Like no one like shunned me, no one booed me. It was kind of fun. So
they said they accepted you in there. So I like that. So, and I will say this, and just as we're closing, the wrestling community is really nice to me anyway, since all these years. I know people want me to talk wrestling for like the last 7 years. So now here it is. I talk my version of what wrestling. But they've been really cool to me out there. And again, there's a guy who wrote about my great grandfather who was a wrestler, Reginald Siki, the original. That's in my own family. So I'm going to try to get him on my show and talk to him about that whole thing. So I have wrestling in my family, so it's in there. So I knew that, but I didn't know the extent of what he went through. So it was very interesting. So wrestling's there. It's there, folks. It's there, kids. So who knows? 2022. We're freaking Fridaying it.
It's only the first week. We're good.
It's only the first week. Exactly. First week. What's going on? So anyway, thank you. So Flobo, now it's your chance to tell folks where they can find all your wrestling goodness.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, there's two ways you can see it. DrapedInGold.com. That's a podcast I do every Thursday right after NXT UK goes off the air with Jack Farmer. We recap NXT 2.0 and NXT UK. But the big man pajama is MackMania, part of the Ringer Wrestling Network. That's available on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Just search the Ringer Wrestling Network every Tuesday. MackMania. In fact, Jack and I got into it this week. People were saying we're fighting back and forth. It was great. Cartoon dust clouds and everything. I love wrestling. Wrestling's given me so much. It was a refuge when I was bullied as a kid, and I would never give it up. My next girlfriend has to understand that wrestling is my life.
I love that. I really do love that. And that's how I feel about soaps. I'm never getting soaps. Soaps are Americana. So is wrestling. It's all part of America. And there are a lot of fans out there who love both. I'm finding that out. You guys are coming out to me, apparently. Coming out of the wrestling closets in my soap world. So hopefully maybe Flo and I will be the bridge that brings it together.
I'll take it.
Something, I'll take it.
Or what does Cesaro do?
That's how he did do that. I was like, I love this. I was here for all of it. I want the sword too of my homeboy. Okay, anyway, so James Lott Jr. I'm everywhere. We're all James Jr. sold at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms. Yes, and I'm sold cheap. Also, James Lott Jr. is my James Lott Jr. JLJ Media is my network. Go ahead and subscribe if you're watching this down there. This also is only audio. This is only video only, so there's no audio version of this. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel. But I do have stuff that's audio too. That's James Lott Jr. or JLJ Media. Everywhere that you want to.
All over.
All over. OVAH. All over.
All over.
That's where I'm at.